Oh, didn't see you guys there. It is time for the huge debate on Full Time Devils. I'm, of course, joined by the main man, John Shin, Paul Rantcast, and Doc Josh. Today, we're going to be discussing big things. It's the transfer window with 1 week to go. You guys wanted this debate. You voted it on YouTube, so we are going to give you that. Today, we're going to be talking about ins, outs, and Paul panicking about Didier Deschamps. More on that later on. But anyway, without further ado, let's get this debate absolutely started. I want to see some two-footed tackles going in from all of you guys. Joshi, I'm going to come to you first. Are you scared? Do you think there'll be some signings that United need to bring in? If so, who would you bring in to, of course, with Jose Mourinho, chilling at Old Trafford?
Who would I bring in to chill with Jose Mourinho at Old Trafford? I'm not sure. Look, 1 week to go. It doesn't feel like a long time, but I think there's stuff that can be done. I don't think we're going to get any sort of major flurry of activity. I think potentially just the one player coming in. It'd be difficult to speculate who. Mourinho wants a centre back. Mourinho wants a right winger. Mourinho wants a left back. There's lots of issues there. So, I think centre-back seems to be the area, according to reports, that is the main focus for us, with Alderweireld and Maguire being the two that have been most heavily linked. And recently, Yerry Mina from Barcelona, but I'm going to file that under no thanks. I don't think it's going to happen. I think things can get done, but I think there has to be questions asked about why deals haven't been done yet, because everyone knew the World Cup was this summer. Everyone knew this was going to be a shorter window, even if we didn't vote for it as a club. And it's put us in a position where we're going to have to try and pursue these guys at the last minute. Who's going to blink first? Is it going to be Woodward and then he just succumbs to the asking price for the players? Is he going to stand firm? Is he going to succumb to what Mourinho wants? I think there are a lot of issues with the targets. And I think that's probably led to the reticence at the board level. It's really difficult to speculate. But for me, I think right wing is probably our most pressing concern, especially if there are serious concerns about Martial leaving, which I've seen today. He's been reportedly fined 2 weeks' wages for going AWOL to chill out with his newborn son. So I don't know, a newborn baby, I don't know if it's a son or a daughter. So look, there's lots of stuff going on. And look, as a fan, we don't want to see it. As a fan, it feels really negative at the moment around the club, despite, the pictures we're seeing and the comments from the players. So I can't put names, unfortunately, to who's going to come in. Hopefully one person will come in. I think that will be it, though.
Yeah, it's interesting, Josh. You make a point about the need for maybe a right winger, a centre-back and a left-back. Paul, with Anthony Martial potentially on his way out of Old Trafford after the big fine, which position do you think is most important to strengthen? Is it left-back, centre-back, or, of course, that right midfield area?
You see, the real genuine difficulty with answering this question is Mourinho. Because I think if you take the squad and kind of analyse its strengths and weaknesses almost on paper, or if you had a manager who was getting mostly the best out of the existing resources, I think the answer is different than the player that you most need to make what Mourinho wants to do with the players he wants to do it with work. For me, I almost think since we're dealing with reality, that second question is the one that needs answering. And I think the answer is probably right winger at this point, because I think the kind of lack of attacking methodology in United's play last season was a big problem, and the fact that Mourinho was targeting Perisic so heavily in the summer before shows you that he wants a player who's going to get up the wing and stick a few crosses in, and also is going to work really hard defensively. Now, Juan Mata actually does work really hard defensively. Louis van Gaal really left his mark on Juan Mata in that sense, but he clearly doesn't have the physicality to be a dominant presence in that sense. So within the context of Mourinho ball, which is slightly depressing context to be talking about at Manchester United, I think listen, right? This is what I grew up on.
I've already read that one. I'm moving on, Paul. I'm moving on and not getting stuck in the angry present. I'm going to move on to you, John Shin. Let's go over to the US of A and let's get some positivity. Manchester United playing a 3-5-2 in pre-season, for me, means that they might not need a right winger. John, are you seeing a centre-half? Are you seeing a left-back that may be needed? And if so, who would you like to sign? We've seen Dalot come in, Fred come in, and Lee Grant come in. Are those guys good enough? And as well, who else at left back do you want to see, or maybe at centre half at Manchester United?
You know what? I think Paul made a fantastic point about the extra flavor that needs to be added in the right side of midfield. But for me, I think the most pressing concern at the moment is the central defensive position. And I kind of disagree in a sense with Joshi that we have about a week left in terms of transfer window being a long period. I think this shortened transfer period this season is going to really add to the panic that is starting to slowly settle on top of the fact that all these other clubs and all these other leagues around us is going to have a longer transfer period. And I think that's going to really throw things around in terms of the stability and the transfer method that's been instilled at Manchester United under Ed Woodward. I mean, if it was David Gill, we would have all been sitting here saying, they got it, don't worry about it. But I mean, with Ed Woodward, it has been questionable, and having Jose Mourinho on the other side of things doesn't make anything better or anything calmer for fans in that matter, especially when he's out there, doing press like this. But anyways, back to the point of the central defender, I think we definitely still need one more central defender. I mean, so many times we sat here in front of this camera listening to Adam say he doesn't want to see a back four of Valencia, Young, Smalling, Jones. I don't need to tell the viewers that at all, but it looks like we're still going to see some sort of combination of that. And while it sucks, I don't think there's much that is going to be done to address these issues. I mean, I don't think Jose Mourinho is going to at any point sell any of these guys. I mean, he's just recently made Valencia captain. Young's had a decent World Cup. Jones and Smalling, need I say more? But I still think we're missing one central defender, and I think somebody like Toby Alderweireld or even Koulibaly, who I think is more of a reach, would definitely really, really strengthen this side and add a lot more to the balance, considering the fact that we're a little bit top-heavy. I think we have a lot more quality in the tops, in the forward department. Perhaps maybe adding somebody that's going to be, a specialist on the right side, perhaps. But nevertheless, we do have the quality up there, and I think adding Fred in that mix really, really added a really needed balance in that midfield. So for me, central defender at all costs.
I mean, I would say, look, I'm not saying that a central defender wouldn't be like a top-class, top-tier central defender wouldn't be a welcome addition. If we're talking Alderweireld, an experienced head in the Premier League, we know his top quality, can play on the ball alongside someone like Bailly. That sounds amazing to me. The problem I have is he's already gone out and spent 65 million pounds on two centre-backs. Now wants to go out and spend more on another centre-back. And those two centre-backs that he's got in the club, he's never played them together. He's decided that Smalling and Jones, even Rojo, will play alongside one of Bailly or Lindelof or someone else. And that's the problem I have. It's like, if you're Ed Woodward, do you then go, right, I'm going to now go and double that expenditure on another centre-back?
But you have to understand. This is the key point, I think. And this is why the idea that, the club should just back Mourinho is such a complicated question to answer, because the club has heavily backed Mourinho in those two transfer windows. And on one hand, he's our current manager, so not backing him is kind of madness. But on the other hand, backing him means investing a huge amount of money in ready-made options right now, which you're going to be overcharged on and not get any chance of return on investment, because he doesn't want big, huge superstars who are super marketable. I agree with him about that. But he also wants players who are ready right now. And when like Joshi said, he's experimented with, he's invested huge money in centre-backs, which he's basically decided he doesn't fancy after buying them. So,
Paul, sorry to interrupt.
No
problem. It is the conundrum there that are we going to back Mourinho or are we going to not back him? But I think these signings in Eric Bailly and Lindelof were a little bit different in the sense that they weren't Chris Smallings and Phil Jones in terms of age, in terms of the years they've spent in the Premier League, in terms of the experience they've gained under Sir Alex Ferguson, David Moyes, Louis van Gaal. So it was a different group of central defensive signings. And perhaps with that in mind, maybe Ed Woodward backed these signings for the sake of the future. But I think we need somebody that's experienced, somebody that's ready-made, that Van Persie-esque signing. I think maybe Ed Woodward should back him in this respect.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting side. I think just moving it on, guys, in terms of, the players coming in and out, it's always interesting when you see the likes of Lindelof come, who was almost not really at the top level, but could get there. And now to see United where they kind of need that leadership and need that quality, and it's not quite going out there. I've liked the likes of Tuanzebe, Fosu Mensah have been really good in pre-season. Again, we'd like to see those guys. And with a back three, that kind of pulls a little bit more need for an experienced centre-back, you're saying, a player that's been there, done it. Bonucci would have been a guy, obviously, going to Juve now. It sounds with, the likes of Gonzalo Higuain moving to AC. But it's a frustrating time. I can understand why you guys are getting a little bit annoyed. You see the likes of certain players performing in certain areas and then coming back to United and not. Like France, for example, Paul. It's an interesting side there. Do you think that a different manager would get more out of the centre-halves that we've got at the club, like a Didier Deschamps?
So just to clarify, before the show, I said, not being entirely serious, that I would prefer Deschamps at United to Mourinho. But I wasn't being entirely serious about that. I was making an entirely serious point disguised in that nonsense, which is that what Deschamps did at the World Cup was play Mourinho ball with a team that was bought in and cared about him, and he clearly cared about them. And the thing that is missing isn't a new signing. This is the key, like this whole debate that we're having today, huge though it is, to me doesn't go to the heart of the matter, because the heart of the matter isn't that the squad is riddled with ineffectiveness. There are problem areas in the squad, certainly. The real problem is that the players he has brought in and the ones who are there already, there are only a small number who he's improved. And mostly we are
harsh. I think we've
seen
seen the development of someone like Jess Lingard, Marcus Rashford. There's a lot of players that don't get the respect they do under Mourinho. Mourinho. But anyway, I'm in charge here, lad. I'm in charge. We're going to move on.
I said a small number of players, of whom one, without question, is Jesse Lingard, who owes an enormous amount to Mourinho. But the maximising the strength of the very best talents in our squad, Mourinho's been disgraceful at. And so
Romelu Lukaku, another player that's massively come on. But anyway, let's move on to the outs, guys. We're talking about the outs, with, of course, Sam Johnson moving on, Daley Blind and Joe Raleigh out of the club. Is there any players that you're surprised that are still at the club that you'd like to see going down? We're talking the likes of Marcus Rojo, Chris Smalling, both being linked with Wolverhampton Wanderers. Incredible over in the Midlands there. But I'm going to start off with you, Doc Joshi. Who do you think should be gone that's still maybe in the squad?
Well, given that a centre-back is a target, I think, again, another reason why potentially we've not brought someone in is the fact that we've got so many of them in the squad. And yeah, I'm not saying that means we've got a strong centre-back area. In numbers we do, but in quality we don't. So that is an area that I would have looked at early on in the transfer window to say, right, who do we identify from Smalling, Jones and Rojo? Because I would be surprised if Lindelof and Bailly were to go, because for different reasons. But who out of those three are you going to get rid of? And I would argue you get rid of two of them. And at the moment, Rojo looks like he's going to Everton, or that's the latest rumour. And I would have thought, actually, look, as much as we just give Chris Smalling all sorts of shit, he is loved by Jose Mourinho, right? And he plays loads. And for all his faults, I kind of don't mind him in there as a backup. So Jones and Rojo, not that I don't like Jones, but he's just always injured. You just can't rely on him. When he plays, he does well, but you just can't rely on him. And then that's another issue. So centre-back is definitely an area where I thought, yeah, that's where we would be doing a bit of a clear out. Aside from that, when you look at the squad, I didn't expect too many people to go. I think Martial is one, but for completely different reasons. He's definitely got the talent, but there's other issues going on there. And at the beginning of the summer, I thought maybe Juan Mata might be in danger if he's targeting another attacking player to come in. But at the moment, yeah, I would like to see two of them centre-backs gone and a top-level centre-back come in. And I already mentioned the right wing sort of status.
Issue and area. Yeah, John, that's interesting. Josh, numbers a number of areas of the pitch that need to be maybe cleared out. Is there any guy that you're sort of looking that's not a centre-back that you're like, maybe he should be moved on from Manchester United? Not quite the correct standard that Mourinho needs to win the Premier League.
I'm going to agree with Josh here. I think Phil Jones, I've been a big advocate of sending Phil Jones out. And, we've always, and I'm not going to repeat myself over the past, how many videos we've done here talking about why I don't fancy Phil Jones. I mean, athletically, he might be superb, but his balance as a central defender is very, very questionable. He's susceptible at times in that regard. I mean, I think the only reason why he saved on so many accounts, and you've seen him throw his head in, and you've seen him put his face in and all that crap. I think it's his pure athleticism that saves him from all these things. And I think as a central defender, you can't use that as your plan A to plan Z. And I think having somebody like Phil Jones is a liability at times too. I mean, on an injury record, it's just not acceptable. And I love the guy to death. I think he's been a fantastic servant for the squad. But having somebody like him around in a central defensive, I'd
hate to see what you'd say if you hated him, John.
Yeah.
Trust me, you don't want to see that. But I mean, no, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, he does have his qualities, and on his day, he might be a good central defender. But you can't use that as a reliance to have a solid central defensive partnership at a club like Manchester United. I think the standards have maybe somewhat dropped in that respect, but it just no questions asked. You can't have somebody like that.
It's consistency. I think that's a big thing. It's the consistent side of the likes of Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand that arguably we're in such a good position. It seemed like those guys played every single week for Manchester United with Patrice Evra on one side and then Wes Brown on the other side. Shout out to Wes Brown, what an absolute hero. But I'm going to move on to some more topics of conversation. That is, of course, the European transfer windows actually close on the 31st of August. The Premier League have absolutely shot themselves in the foot for me here, seriously. There's so many clubs that make bad business and they're trying to react later on in the window, try and sort out their problems, and now they can't do it. Paul, is there any players that you can see at Manchester United that may stay after the 8th of August and then move on afterwards, which would leave a massive hole in the squad?
I think that, when we got some notes from producer Chris, he listed a few players, included like Paul Pogba. I think that the only one that would there's a couple that would make sense to me. So one is players that are clearly on their way out and the business just isn't sorted in time, but they're going abroad, so it doesn't matter. So like a Matteo Darmian, for example. I think that's a kind of he's definitely my kind of pick for player. I'm almost most surprised is still here, apart from the fact that we gave another contract to Marouane Fellaini. But I don't want to upset Dave. I don't want to upset Dave even further than I have done. Yeah.
That's why I didn't mention him.
Yeah, I'm not winning this debate. Like I've had to write it off, so because But anyway,
bringing Big Marouane into this, are you? After he saved Belgium at the World Cup.
Yeah, if we were playing Japan every week, then I would 100% have Marouane Fellaini in the side. But anyway, that's
What's the difference between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Japan? They both play technically gifted football and have weakness at the back. So a big Marouane Fellaini, Romelu Lukaku last 10 minutes, that's fine for me.
Because we've got Jose Mourinho as our manager, so we will need a goal in the last 10 minutes. The thing is that the one kind of big name. I forgot. I'm not debating with Dave. This is a terrible error. So bad strategy.
Joshi's just pretty much won the debate on the.
The one big name player that I think you could see this happening with is Anthony Martial, because it's pretty clear that we have too many players who can play either centre forward or on the left wing, and so you could. I mean, this would. The extent to which this would be an embarrassment and a disgrace can't be overstated. But I think it doesn't seem to me that unlikely that Martial could move in that period. And it doesn't leave a massive hole in squad balance.
Josh, you brought up Anthony Martial being fined.
I mean, there must be a reason why he's been fined. I mean, the fact that he's just had a baby. I mean, I'm a parent, and I totally get that. I was absolutely, when I had my first son, I was fuming because the hospital where I was working at, they were like, "Oh, we don't have cover for you," so I had to go in for 2 days, and then and otherwise I'd have been in a lot of trouble. So I don't know what's happened. Okay, he's had a baby, so I'm sure that there was for me, the only thing I can really think of is there was an agreement that he would come back, but then he didn't. But to me, that's silly because we're in the US and he's gone back, and that's like a 1-day trip on its own, flying out there from where we were, and then he's seen the baby and chilling, and then he's got, like, let's say he gave 2 days to see the baby, then you got to fly back. That's 4 days gone. And then you want him to start against Real Madrid the day he arrived. It doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know what's gone on there. It's just daft, and it does feel, if it's Jose Mourinho that's sanctioned it, it feels a little bit. I can't really comment other than the fact it just sounds a bit daft to me.
Go back to Paul. Paul, you're ready.
It's pathetic, is what it is. You said, we haven't got that many players in pre-season. Right, if we're talking about, am I going to miss the World Cup final for the birth of my child? Like, there's a discussion. But to prioritize a disgusting capitalistic money spinning tour over the birth of your child. Like the tour, which Mourinho himself, one of the things I do agree with him about this is like, it is not good value for money for the fans. This tour is a joke, and that you should prioritize that over the birth of your child is because the world, like, because we got a lot of players in the semi-final of the World Cup. Like, give over.
Paul, there's a lot of panic on your face, which moves us nicely on to the panic buys. Panic on the streets of Manchester. There's no right winger, there's no left back, and there's no centre back. John, who are we going to bring in on the last day of the window, and where's the panic going to come from? Is it going to be Radovan Falcao, Dimitar Berbatov, or Angel Di Maria?
Or Marouane Fellaini.
I really don't want us to sit here and discuss about panic buys, but if we were to have a panic buy, I think it's going to have to be a left back. I mean, perhaps somebody like Alexandro, somebody in the left back position. I mean, this preseason tour showed us one thing. Luke Shaw isn't ready for this team. I mean, there's sides to him that showed us the fitness levels increasing. We saw time and time and again that Luke Shaw's always been put into question when it came to his fitness. I mean, we saw pictures during the summer break of his little gut popping out. And, just so much negativity surrounding Luke Shaw's fitness. And for him to come back and, get a full preseason in is very nice. But there were times when he was very, very susceptible on the transition from attack to defense. There was times when he didn't even contribute on the attack. And it was just lots of gaping holes here and there that really made me question, do we really have somebody in left back that's ready? I mean, we're going to bring up Ashley Young time and again. But as Adam says all the time, Ashley Young is a failed winger. And as much as I love Ashley Young and what he's done for the service he's done for the squad, I would love to see a left back contribution added to this squad. And I think that is some sort of panic buy that might happen in this transfer window.
He's had at least 7 times. If you can see Jose there, that's how many times he does give a left back over the season, over the course of his career. And unfortunately, maybe Luke Shaw's used all of his 7 chances. Joshi, though, who would you buy if you're in that sort of panic, Edward Wood mode, last day of the window, you got about £55 million in the bank, plus a few players to let go in a swap deal, maybe who are you going to go and get?
Oh my God. I mean, I'm a fan. So like I could name a lot of players and then they'll be told, no, he's too expensive or you won't get him for that much. And we identify the right side, but given the conditions you've just said and kind of who I think is available for that kind of money and you're getting rid of players, you probably go out and I think he'll blink and go out and sign Alderweireld. I think it'll be someone like that. I think he'll blink and do it. Or Titus Bramble will come out of retirement.
Hopefully. We can all pray.
If it's, and look, I made a joke. Look, I'm not really panicking. It's the end of the window. And when I said earlier there's still a week to go, I didn't mean that's a long time. I meant that a lot can get done in that time. In this sort of panic mode, you're just scrambling. We've seen it in the past. And yeah, we may not end up with a player that we want because like happened with Moyes, with Fellaini, and we've had a plethora of
Great
players
signing.
under Louis van Gaal. Yeah, I mean, still a panic buy though. So I'm not panicking. I'm going to sit and chill for the next few days, see what happens. Then after that, when we do sign Titus Bramble on deadline day, then I'll go into full meltdown mode, right? So
excellent.
This is at the moment.
Excellent.
At the moment, there's no need to panic. But I think we'll get a deal done. But it still comes back to the point that Paul made earlier. It doesn't really matter who we sign if Jose Mourinho is not really up for it and he's not really getting the best out of the players that we've already got there. Look at the talent we've got. There is undoubted talent in that squad, right? Throughout the squad. Maybe not so much at left back, but the fullbacks are still an issue. But Dalot's come in. You love him, Dave. So I'm really excited to see how he gets on. And if it's a Mourinho signing, you hope he doesn't go down the Lindelof way and never plays. He goes more down the who's he signed that's young and's played. There's
Rafa
no
Varane?
Examples. Yeah. No, I meant at
Young
United.
defender.
But the point is, it is on him. It doesn't matter if we get 1 player in or 3 players in. It's on him to make sure that the team sets up well, plays well, has a system at the back, is cohesive up top, and not just rely on these individual people like Sanchez, Pogba, Rashford, Martial, Mata to
Brilliant individuals though, and Marouane Fellaini. You forget that we've still got Marouane Fellaini. Paul, is your panic buy getting rid of Mourinho and bringing in Didier Deschamps? Is that what we're going to do before the end of the window?
No, there is another winner of the 1998 World Cup who I would happily replace Jose Mourinho with, but that's a different discussion. Listen, I'm not panicking. I'm quietly depressed about Man United. This is the first summer of my Manchester United supporting life, which is all of it, in which I've not been excited about the season ahead. Like after Fergie went, it was I think a lot of us had a degree of kind of unfounded optimism, even though I did believe that David Moyes was a terrible appointment. You're sort of hoping that it's going to be at least interesting. Then when Van Gaal came in on the back of the 2014 World Cup, that was super exciting. At the end of Van Gaal's first season, we had that little period where it finally clicked, so that looked really good. Then Mourinho comes in, we sign Pogba and Zlatan. Woo, that's going to be super exciting. And we end that season in Stockholm with Stockholm, meaning that there was this kind of real feel-good factor going into the season just gone. But that's all gone. Like, all of that feel-good factor is gone. So I'm not panicking about United not having done transfer business properly. I'm panicking about the lack of football direction on the board, meaning that I don't really know how we dig ourselves out of any hole that we dig ourselves into. I'm panicking about the prioritisation from the club's perspective of finance over fun and success. I'm panicking over Mourinho's current state of kind of advanced misery. So the fact that we haven't bought Gareth Bale or whatever, I think this transfer window is a symptom of the problem rather than the problem. And I would love nothing more than to be proved wrong as United win 1 or 2-0 every week, functionally and efficiently playing Jose ball, using the brilliant talents of our attacking players to win the league or even to really challenge for the league title this season. But unfortunately, looking at the state of things as they currently are, I don't really see a way that happens unless it turns out that Fred is the Messiah.
Fred is the Messiah. We all know that. I've already told you that Fred from at Shakhtar Donetsk, what a player. But anyway, guys. Right, guys, we're just going to quickly drop onto an ad break. And after that, we're going to do the 30-second power round where all the guys are going to put their debate points across for, of course, the transfer window. See you in a second. Right, guys, we are back. 30 seconds on the clock to sum up your argument on the Manchester United transfer window with 1 week to go. I want some big answers here. Paul, try not to cry, but get your points across. First up, we're going to go with Joshi. You ready, Joshi? 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Look, forget about the transfer window. It's not been that much. It's not been that exciting. All I'm going to do is inject some positivity in here. Sanchez is going to come in and be the man. Pogba's going to come off the back of that World Cup, dominate midfields. Fred is coming in. He's going to be our box-to-box that we want. He's going to unlock everything. Lukaku's going to power through with his movement, with his intelligence, and he's going to finish. Rashford is going to be the man. And Martial is probably going to leave, but there's going to be some positivity. And we're going to win something.
Excellent stuff. That's it. That is it. 30 seconds over. I love that positivity. So I'm going to be that now. On to a bit of negativity. Paul, 30 seconds. Time to go now.
It's easy to win votes by pandering, as they say. The truth, though, is that Manchester United's transfer window specifically has not been that bad. I'm basing this almost entirely on Dave's opinion, which I greatly respect. I'm excited about Fred arriving. I'm excited about Diogo Dalot's future after Mourinho leaves. And I think there is work left to be done in this transfer window. And ironically, what I think the club should do is back Mourinho to the hilt because he's stuck.
That's it. You're gone. Nice, Paul. I like that positivity. See, you can do it. You know you can do it now. Time for a bit of American influence here. No, your time's over. Paul, you've had your 30 seconds. It's John Shin's go, all right?
I'm just objecting to being...
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, guys. So, of course, we're all kind of annoyed about Mourinho moaning in the press. We're all annoyed about Ed Woodward's lack of transfer windows. But let me take a quick second to remind you about the 2011 to 2012 season. Sir Alex Ferguson signed David De Gea, who was a questionable young boy from Atletico Madrid. He signed Phil Jones from Blackburn Rovers, and he signed Ashley Young from Aston Villa. In the 2010-2011 season, let me get to you there, he signed Bebe, Chris Smalling, and Chicharito. It's questionable. We're going to have quiet windows. We're going to have loud windows. I know it sucks, but I think we just need to try and back this team up. I mean, he has no choice. We have no choice. Let's back this team.
That is it. That is, goddamn it, it is over. The 30-second round is done. And I think it's time for me to consult the iPad. I've written some notes. First up, Paul. Not enough energy. John, energy was there, but unfortunately, not enough positivity. So I'm going to give it to Doc Joshi. He's won the debate today, guys. Get into the comments. Was that the correct decision?
He genuinely didn't address the topic once in his 32nd round.
I don't mind.
Bullshit.
I think he's pulled off a lot of moves today. He gave you the "Oh, I'm Paul, I'm angry" maneuver, which was excellent play.
It's the damn dance.
He was long term in this debate. He won. I'm in charge anyway. I've been Statman Dave. This has been Full-Time Devils. Make sure, of course, to subscribe
Mourinho,
if
I'm
you're
a
new.
winner.
Exactly, like that goddamn video.
2018
Joshi
all over.
is the winner, and we'll see you next time on Full-Time's Devil.
Can't believe Dave went full Trump.